Okay, good morning everyone. How are you guys doing? 6:30 in the morning looks good. Okay, so we'll get started today. I think in the introduction lecture, I talked about certain steps involved in auditing. If you remember, we talked about 5 steps. That normally, how do we really start a statutory audit? The first step was, if you remember, understanding the entity and its environment. Number 2 was your engagement terms. Then you had planning, execution, and then came the last one, that is your reporting stage. And as I promised you in the last lecture itself, we're going to start with the reporting stage directly. So let's do one thing. Let's start with SA, Standards on Auditing 700 series. Do one thing. Take out your notebooks, give a first heading. Notebooks, give a first heading. SA 700. SA 700. Forming an opinion. SA 700. Forming an opinion on financial statements. Forming an opinion on financial statements. SA 700. Forming an opinion on financial statements. Now this is going to be pretty interesting. I don't know how many of you remember the old format of audit and the revised format of auditing. We're going to start with both of them, don't worry. But let's start with the basics first of all. Talking about forming an opinion, this is the last step in audit. Once you're done with your entire auditing procedures, you have to come to the final opinion. So how it starts? Write down number 1, types of opinion. Under 700, write down point number 1, types of audit opinion. Number 1, types of audit opinion. Types of audit opinion. Now, how many types of audit opinion do we have? If you remember, 2. Write down number A, modified, and number B, unmodified. Modified and unmodified. Now, under modified, you have 3 options. The first one under modified is a qualified opinion. Under modified, write down number A, qualified opinion. Number B, adverse opinion. Under modified, number A, qualified. Number B, adverse. And number C, disclaimer of opinion. And number C, disclaimer of opinion. With the word modified, in brackets you can mention SA 705. With the word modified, in brackets you can mention SA 705. Now listen to me carefully. We have started with the 700 series, that's your audit reporting series. And the first standard in the audit reporting series is how do you arrive at an opinion under SA 700? So for that, the first thing is, how many types of opinion do we have? So there are 2 types. The first is the modified one, second is the unmodified one. Let me ask you a question. Which is the most common opinion out of these 2? Which is the most common opinion, the modified one or the unmodified one? Unmodified. Why? Modified is common. How many of you say modified is a common opinion? Okay. See, according to me, unmodified is the most common one, since it's a clean report. Since it's a clean report. Do one thing, under unmodified write down, it's also called as, under unmodified write down, it's also called as clean report. It's also called as clean report or unqualified opinion. Clean report or unqualified opinion. Clean report or unqualified opinion. Now listen to me carefully. Have you heard the word qualification? Have you heard a word called qualification? Is qualification a positive word or a negative word? For a layman, it's a positive word. Yes or no? In audit, qualification is a negative word. So when I say, if auditor has come across certain material misstatements. Have you heard this word, material misstatements? What is a misstatement? Misstatement can be an error or it can be a fraud. Misstatement can be a error or it can be a fraud. When I say it's a material misstatement, so when do we say a misstatement is material? When it can actually impact the decision of my users. Do one thing. In your notebooks, on the last page, in your notebooks, go to the last page. So every day, audit is all about, technical language. We need to identify those keywords, understand those keywords, write them in a simple language. Once you understand these keywords, the language will become very simple for you. So give a heading, audit keywords. On the last page, give a heading, audit keywords. Under that, write down number 1, material misstatement. Audit keywords. Under that, write down number 1, material misstatement. Material misstatement. Dash, write down. Material misstatement, dash, write down. Any fraud or error. Any fraud or error which in any fraud or error which in user's judgment, any fraud or error which in user's judgment, auditor's judgment, cut the word users, which in auditor's judgment can influence, which in auditor's judgment can influence the decision of users, can influence the decision of users, should be considered, can influence the decision of users, should be considered as material misstatement. Should be considered as material misstatement. Now, for example, you use two words, any fraud or error. What is the main difference between a word fraud and error? Whether it is intentional or unintentional. So let's say, assume a situation, an unintentional nature of mistake. For example, companies should have made a provision for, let's say, doubtful debts, a provision for warranty, or a provision for a pending litigation. Company should have made a provision, but company did not make a provision because in management judgment, let's say provision was not required. So I'm trying to say, as an auditor, I believe provision was required in a situation. Management believed that a provision is not required. So I might say, according to auditor, there is a misstatement. According to auditor, there is a misstatement. Because if they would have recorded that provision, the amount of profit would have gone down. The amount of profit would have gone down if the provision was recorded. The company has not recorded the provision because management believes the provision is not required. So I'm trying to talk about a situation where there is a mistake, which in auditor's judgment can influence the decision of my users. Let me give you an example. In the SpiceJet audit report, let me show you one modification. Let's look at one case of misstatement. Probably you will understand this better. Let's look at one example. Look at this. It's a SpiceJet audit report for 2014, a pretty old one. Can you see basis for qualified opinion? What is qualified? Forget about it. Look at the matter right now. Look at the matter. As more detail given in a particular note, no provision has been made. No provision has been made for interest of amounting 74 million. They should have made a provision regarding certain interest payments amounting 74 million. As per auditor's observation, this provision was not made. I'm talking about a situation, a company's financial statement, where the auditor is reporting that a provision of 74 million, which should have been there, is not really present. Can I say, not making a provision is a mistake? Not making an appropriate provision is a mistake. Now, the question is whether it is intentional or unintentional. The problem with the provision word is, you really don't know whether it is intentional or unintentional. The reason being, provision requires judgment on part of management. And whenever there's a word judgment, there is subjectivity involved. Are they doing it intentionally or are they doing it unintentionally? It's very, very difficult to identify. But I'm trying to say, look at the amount involved, 74 million. For any Indian company, do you think it's a material amount? Yes. Yes. See, materiality is dependent upon a lot of factors. We are going to discuss those factors, don't worry about it. But right now, looking at the amount involved, it is pretty clear. It is a material amount from any Indian company perspective. I'm talking about 74 million today. So can I say the provision not made is a mistake? And in auditor's judgment, it looks to be a material mistake because I believe this can impact the judgment of my users. This can impact the decision of my users. Who are the users of financial statements? Who are the users? Management is a user? No? Tell me theoretically who are the users of financial statement? Shareholders? Banks or financial institutions? Creditors? Even government agencies? Yes or no? So can I say this 74 million looks to be an important amount and company is not providing for this? That clearly gives me an idea. There is a misstatement without any doubt, because if in auditor's judgment provision is required and if in management judgment is not required, there can be difference in judgment. I understand. But ultimately, who gets to decide the final opinion? Auditor. It's his audit report. So in his report, he is reporting that there looks to be a misstatement in his judgment. Now, if you remember, auditor always keeps using the word in our judgment. If you remember, in our opinion, to the best of our information and explanation given to us. That's the kind of language auditor uses. So in his judgment, this looks to be a misstatement. When I say I do audit of a financial statement and I do not come across any material misstatement, I do audit of a financial statement and I do not come across any material misstatement, can I say I can give a clean report? I can give a clean report. But if I come across any misstatement which is material in nature, I cannot give a clean report. So right now, if I talk about two types of opinion, the first one is modified, second is unmodified. We give unmodified opinion when in my judgment, there is no material misstatement, or in other words, have you heard this line? Financial statements are free from material misstatements. Have you heard this line? Financial statements are free from material misstatements. Can I say in that situation, I can give them a clean report? Yes. Or let's say, if I say qualification is a negative word, like for example, this 74 million mistake, I'm giving them a qualification. Let's say all mistakes are accumulated as individual qualification. So when I say there is no material misstatement, can I also give an unqualified report? Look at different words. Clean report can also be called as unqualified. Why unqualified? Because there is no qualification. Because there is no qualification. And qualification is nothing but it's a mistake. Qualification is nothing but it's a mistake. So I'm trying to say, if there is no material misstatement, I'm going to give a clean report, or in other words, it can also be called as unqualified report. Sir, I understand these two words. My problem is, why do you use the word unmodified report? Why do you use the word unmodified? Can anyone explain me why do we use this word unmodified? See, clean report you understand. Unqualified report you understand. There is a logic. Why the word unmodified? Because changes is not there. So guys, there is a standard audit report format which we are going to discuss now. A standard audit report format given to you. That format is from clean opinion perspective. Which perspective? Clean opinion perspective. When I say you will not make any change to this format, that means no modification is required in this format. That means I'm giving a clean report as it is. This format is given to the users. In simple terms, unmodified means no modification. That means the standard format is going to be used. Can you show me an example? Okay, let's look at an example. This is the old audit report format. Look at the format. Can you see? Independent auditor's report. You're writing to the members. Can you see? Management's responsibility, auditor's responsibility. And can you see? Ideally, there should have been an opinion directly. But there is a word added there. Which word? Qualified opinion. And can you also see a paragraph basis for qualified opinion? If I show you another report of SpiceJet. If I show you another report of SpiceJet. This is 2014. Let me show you one more report. Look at one more report. Again, SpiceJet. Which year? 2015. Check it out. management responsibility, auditor's responsibility. Can you see opinion directly? This is actually a clean opinion. This is actually a clean opinion. Or I can use the word unqualified opinion. Or I can use the word unmodified. The standard format has been given as it is. When I make changes to the format, that is when I use the word it's a modified opinion. So when I use the word unmodified, that means there is no material misstatement. I'm trying to say there will not be any changes to the standard format of the audit report, or I can say there won't be any qualification. See, you need to understand why do we use the word unmodified? Why do we use the word unqualified? Or why do we use the word clean opinion? At least do you get me that these three words are relevant? Clean, unmodified, or unqualified. When you make changes to the standard format, that means I'm modifying the report. That means I am modifying the report. Can I call that category as a modified opinion category? Yes. Do you understand the two categories at least? Yes or no? See, I'm sure you were aware of this from your intermediate level. But the thing is, when you're going from basics, we need to go a little bit more in detail. Slowly, you'll realize we'll discuss different types of modifications also to give you a better clarity. Right now, the word unmodified and modified, the difference between these two words is clear to you. Yes or no? Yes or no? So for modification, there's a separate standard. Which standard? You've already given a reference. SA 705. So can we do one thing? Let's leave modification aside. Let's start with the contents of audit report first. Once the audit report format is clear, we'll go towards the modification. So for now, types is two, modified and unmodified. So when do we have an unmodified? When there is no material misstatement, or I can use the word financial statements are free from material misstatements. Now should we start with the format of audit report? Yes or no? Listen to me carefully for 1 minute. This is your different standards from audit report point of view. 700, 705, 706. Can you see old format? In the revised format, you still have 700, 705, 706. But do you see an additional standard 701? There's a new standard called SA 701, which talks about key audit matters. Also, you would have realized 700 is revised, 705 is also revised, and 706 is also revised. Now, what is the revision there? We need to discuss in detail. There are two ways. In your syllabus, revised standards are applicable. We can directly start with the revised format. Or the other way, we first understand the old format, then we go to revised format, then understand the difference. Which process do you like? The first one? Should we go to the direct new standards altogether? Or should we go with the old one also? We will discuss the old one, then we'll go to the revised one. So why do you keep asking? Just to make you feel good that your choice is also respected. Don't worry about this. So we start with the old format first. It's going to be little time consuming, but that's the best part. I'll tell you why. Because a lot of companies for small private limiteds will still follow the old format. And when you are working in a firm, or let's say post qualification to join, if someone asks you, why did we revise the audit report? You will say, I don't even know the old format. So how can I tell you why we revised? Rather, you won't even know this is the revised. You will say, this is the only audit format I know. I don't want that to happen. I want you to be aware of both the formats. I want you to understand the difference. Rather, when we go step by step, you will only tell me the difference. Don't worry about this. Can we get started with the old format first? Notebooks given next heading. Elements of audit report. Under 700 only. We are under SS 700 only. Given next heading. Elements of audit report. Elements of audit report. Under elements, write down number 1. Old audit report format. Elements of audit report. Number 1. Old audit report format. Old audit report format. Do you guys remember the old format? Anyone who remembers the old format? This is how the old format looks like. It starts with a title. Can you see the title? Independent Auditor's Report. What is the title? Independent Auditor's Report. In your notebooks, we'll keep discussing the format. We'll keep writing also. We'll do both the things hand by hand. Okay? Write down number A, title. Under old format, elements, point number A, title. Title dash independent auditor's report. Title dash independent auditor's report. Independent auditor's report. After title, what do you see? To the members of SpiceJet. That means the report is addressed to whom? Can I say they're talking about the addressee? Write down number 2. Addressee. That is number 2, addressee. That is the members of XYZ Limited. Addressee. That is the members of XYZ Limited. Members of XYZ Limited. So, it's an independent auditor's report. Sir, why the word independent? Give it some time. This word independent is very, very important, and you'll understand this with some provisions of Companies Act, with some standards, with some clauses under professional ethics. This word is widely used in multiple areas. You'll get more clarity when we spend some more time. Right now, title is independent auditor's report. After that, what do we have? The report is addressed to whom? That is the addressee, to the members of XYZ Limited. What is next? What do you see? Can I say it looks like the opening paragraph? Read this. We have audited the financial statements of SpiceJet, which comprises the statement of P&L. If you remember the old financial statement, we have balance sheet, we have profit and loss account, we have cash flow statement, notes to accounts. Do you remember that? Nowadays, do we also have SOCE? That is statement of changes in equity. That is included as a part of financial statement. So it looks like, sir, we are giving an opening statement that we have done the audit of SpiceJet, which includes the financial statements. What about the financial statement? They include a balance sheet, profit and loss account. It looks like an introduction, that you are giving an introduction, what you have done as an auditor. This is why we call this as introductory paragraph or a opening paragraph. Notebooks, point number 3. Opening paragraph or introductory paragraph. Opening paragraph or introductory paragraph. Opening paragraph or introductory paragraph. Dash, write down. This generally includes a statement. This generally includes a statement that we have audited financial statements of relevant company for relevant period. Relevant company for relevant period. So in simple terms, this is just like an opening statement that we have done the audit of this company for financial statements of this particular period. Financial statement includes balance sheet, P&L, cash flow statement, and notes to accounts. This is like an opening paragraph in your audit report. So how we started? Number 1 was title. After title, we have the addressee. The report is addressed to whom? Number 3 is your opening paragraph or introductory paragraph. After that, see what do we have next. Can you see? And auditor's responsibility. We combine both of them and use the word scope paragraph. Notebooks, point number D, write down. Scope paragraph. SCOPE. Scope paragraph. Scope paragraph. Dash, write down. It includes management's responsibility. It includes management's responsibility for preparation of financial statements, management's responsibility for preparation of financial statements, and auditor's responsibility, management's responsibility for preparation of financial statements, and auditor's responsibility, to examine those financial statements, and express his opinion. and express his opinion. Can I say in simple terms, who is responsible for preparation and presentation of financial statements? Management. Auditor's job is to evaluate those financial statements and then accordingly express his opinion. Where do we express our opinion? In the audit report. That is why we are clarifying in the report that this is management's responsibility and this is auditor's responsibility. So you'll realize these used to be like pretty, brief summary, the basic summary. In the revised audit report format, you will realize the content has gone to a different level. They've extended, they've given you more detailed responsibilities. This is what you will notice when we go to revised audit report. Right now, where are we? We are in the old audit report format. So, sir, in the old format, we start with the title, we have the addressee, we have an opening statement, then we have a scope paragraph. What is the management responsibility and what is auditor's responsibility? Is this clear as of now? Let me ask you a question. Does auditor has to comply with all applicable essays while doing his audit? Is it required by any provision of Companies Act? Auditor has to comply with all applicable essays. Is it required by any provisions of Companies Act? See, you have to follow all essays, yes or no? While doing the audit. We all know this. It should be mentioned somewhere in the law also. Should be mentioned somewhere. Where do you think is mentioned? Any guesses? 143. 141. 141 is eligibility, qualification and disqualification. 143. Will you guess all sections? 143. 128. That is financial statements. Sorry, books of accounts. See. Section 143, subsection 10. 143. See, what is 143? Powers and duties of the auditor. Specifically, the duties of the auditor. Yes or no? Do you remember Companies Act? Little bit. Don't worry, we'll discuss this in detail. For your reference, 143 talks about powers and duties of the auditor. There it is clearly mentioned under subsection 10. It is the duty of the auditor to comply with all applicable essays while performing audit procedures. So it is mentioned in the law categorically that we have to comply with all applicable essays. Where is this mentioned? Under 143, subsection 10. Does company have to comply with all applicable accounting standards? For preparation of financial statement, company has to comply with all applicable accounting standards. Is that also mentioned somewhere? What is section number for accounting standards? 130, 143. See, 143 is for the auditor. It cannot be applicable for the company. What is section 133? It's accounting standards only. So 133 talks about compliance of applicable accounting standards or Ind AS by the company while preparing and presenting their financial statement. This is applicable for the company for accounting standards. This is applicable for the auditor for essays. These two sections are important. When we go to Companies Act, when we start discussing the provisions, I'll come back to these two provisions once again. For your reference, 143 is powers and duties of the auditor. Under that, subsection 10 talks about auditor's duty to comply with all essays. 133 talks about accounting standards, where it is mentioned it is the duty of the company's management to comply with all applicable AS or Ind AS. Do you understand this? Because these things are written somewhere in audit report. So today is day 1. What I want is, when I'm done with all lectures, on the last day, we come back to the same audit report. And on that time, we'll come only to the revised audit report. And I want all of you to read the entire report along with me and tell me, do you understand that report or not? That's the important part. See, remembering few essays will not help you. Because when you become a chartered accountant, you'll be signing on this report. You should know what is there in the report. I hope you understand. Is it important or not? It's very, very important. So I need to know what comes under management responsibility, what comes under auditor's responsibility, why I have to comply with all essays, why do they have to comply with all AS and Ind AS. These sections are very important. I don't say remember all sections, but I always say remember the important ones, because they actually create the base in your head for the basic concepts. Do you get my point? Right now, come back. In the old format, we started with the title, then we had the addressee, then we had the opening paragraph, then we had the scope paragraph. What comes after scope paragraph? What do we have after scope paragraph? Can you see opinion directly? But wait, can I say in case of clean opinion, directly opinion will come. In case of clean opinion, directly opinion will come. But in case of a modified opinion, if you remember, there is a separate paragraph called as basis for modified opinion. So why are you using the word basis for modified? Because modification can be of three types. Which three? Qualified, adverse, or disclaimer. So in your notebooks, write down next one. Basis for modified opinion paragraph. Basis for modified opinion paragraph. Basis for modified opinion paragraph. Dash only when basis for modified opinion paragraph dash only when SA 705 is applicable. Only when SA 705 is applicable. So whenever you have a modified opinion, only in that case we will have a separate paragraph called as basis for modified opinion. So what will this paragraph include? This will include the reason. This will include the reason that why are we giving a modified opinion? That means why are we not giving a clean report? So why modification? That reason will be mentioned under basis paragraph. Can you see? I showed you this one example. No provision has been made for an interest of 74 million. Can I say the reason has to be specified by the auditor? Why is he expressing a modified opinion and why not a clean opinion? Listen to me carefully. This paragraph, we are using the word basis for modified. So can I say it can be either qualified, it can be adverse, or it can be disclaimer. It can be any of the modifications. Yes or no? In your modules, notebooks, can you see you have already given a heading basis for modified opinion dash only when SA 705 is applicable, comma, write down. This generally includes the auditor's reasons. This generally includes auditor's reasons for expressing a modified opinion. For expressing a modified opinion. For expressing a modified opinion. Is this clear to you? We'll discuss more in detail, don't worry. When we go to 705, when we discuss types of modifications, on that time we'll devote more time to qualified word. We'll devote more time to adverse and disclaimer. Right now our focus is the format understanding. So right now we're in the old format. We're done with the basis paragraph. After this, will we have an opinion paragraph? Yes. Notebooks, write down next one. Opinion paragraph. Next one, opinion paragraph. Opinion paragraph. Now, when we have a clean opinion, the heading is only opinion. When we have a clean opinion, the heading is only clean opinion. When we have a modified opinion, we change the heading. We use the word qualified opinion, or we use the word adverse opinion, or disclaimer of opinion. Can I say this opinion paragraph is the most important paragraph? This is why a third person actually reads our audit report, because our audit report includes our opinion, which is the most important part of our audit report. Is this clear to you? So right now, our focus is on the contents. In the contents, we have reached till the opinion paragraph, starting from title, addressee, then we had an opening statement, then we talked about the management responsibilities and auditor's responsibility. Then if we have a modification, we have to give the basis also, then comes your opinion. Is this clear to you? Is there anything else left in the report? Anything else left in the report? There are two paragraphs you would have remembered. Emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph. Have you heard these two words? We'll discuss them in really detail, don't worry. There are two words. Write down the next one. Emphasis of matter paragraph. Emphasis of matter paragraph. And the next one is other matter paragraph. Emphasis of matter paragraph. And the next one is other matter paragraph. Emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph. Mark them both, club them both and write down refer SA 706. Refer SA 706. Refer SA 706. We'll discuss them both in detail when we go to SA 706. Rather, don't worry about this in the revised format. We need to also understand what is key audit matter paragraph. That will be an additional paragraph. Right now, these two paragraphs will come generally after your opinion paragraph. Let me show you an example. Can you see qualified opinion? After that, can you see a paragraph called as emphasis of? Is it visible to you? We'll talk about other matter also. See, it's not important that we include EOM in every report. It's an option. EOM and OM will not come in every single report. It may or may not come depending upon the applicability of SA 706. When we go to 706, you'll understand the applicability and then you will understand what do we include under these paragraphs. After these paragraphs comes the last one. Have you heard this heading? Reporting on other legal and regulatory requirements. This is actually one of the most important headings. This includes reference of your Companies Act provisions. Right on the last one. Reporting on other legal and regulatory requirements. Reporting on other legal and regulatory requirements. Other legal and regulatory requirements. Dash, write down. This includes reference of section 143 subsection 3. 143 subsection 3, that is reporting on 143 subsection 3, that is reporting on principal assertions. Reporting on principal assertions. I don't think you remember this, but we will talk about this in detail, don't worry. 143 subsection 3, that is reporting on principal assertions and reference of 143 subsection 11. 143 subsection 11. Do you remember that by any chance? Anyone? 143 subsection 11. That is CARO. That is CARO under a separate annexure. That is CARO. I hope you know what is CARO. No? This is part of your CA intermediate, idiots. You don't remember this? So we know there is CARO, but we don't know what is CARO. Are you trying to say this? Write down 143 subsection 11, that is CARO under a separate annexure. There comes a separate annexure where we include CARO along with the audit report. CARO under a separate annexure. Don't worry. When we go to Companies Act, we'll discuss 143.11. We'll talk about CARO as well. We'll discuss CARO separately because it's part of your separate chapter. We have an audit report chapter. In that, we'll discuss the applicability of CARO, the 16 clauses in CARO. I will test your law understanding once again. Section 185, 186, 189, 188. Nice. You know that you have examined this year only for your information. Nice. Let's proceed. This heading, reporting on other legal and regulatory requirements. Listen to me carefully for 2 minutes. This heading actually includes auditor's responsibilities as per relevant laws and regulations. So 143 is powers and duties of the auditor. So there are certain duties that you have to include certain matters in your audit report. There are certain duties of the auditor that you have to include certain matters along with the audit report. Sir, can you give me one example? Okay, let's take one example. Sir, you only ask question, you only answer the question. What else can I do? Can you see TCS audit report? Okay. Can you see it's like an old format? Is it like an old format? Yes or no? Can you see heading reporting on other legal regulatory requirements? Can you see reference of 143 subsection 3? We'll discuss this later on. Right now, look at this. As required by company's auditor's report order. Can you see CARO? Issued by central government in terms of section 143 subsection 11. We have included a separate annexure. What is annexure number? Annexure B. So when we go to annexure B to the audit report, this is A, this is going to be annexure B. Will this include your CARO reference? Will this include all 16 clauses of CARO? Yes or no? So I'll tell you what. This reporting on other legal and regulatory requirement requires that there are certain laws and regulations which requires auditor to include certain statements or certain matters in his audit report. So where do we mention those matters? No other place is there. That's why they made a separate paragraph. Look at the heading, report on. Report on what, sir? Other legal and regulatory. Legal means applicable laws and regulations. Regulatory means the guidelines given by the regulator. Or a regulatory means guidelines given by the regulator. Regulator can be RBI for a banking company. So you know LFAR, long form audit report. Have you heard this? There's a separate LFAR to be given for a bank audit. Yes or no? Is that a requirement by the regulator, that is RBI? Yes. Will that also come under this heading only? Yes. This is the general heading for including reference of all your applicable provisions and regulatory requirements for the auditor. These two are the core examples what we really include under this heading. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Right now, the old format technically is over. Spend 1 minute, read the entire format. At least basic understanding should be there. See, I'll tell you what. Right now, you don't know what comes under opinion paragraph. That's my job to teach you when we go to next standard. Right now, you don't know what comes under auditor's responsibility. That we'll talk in detail when we go to other essays. We'll keep discussing in detail individual parts. But right now, at least you know that this is the general format of audit report. The main objective right now to discuss standards on auditing from reporting point of view is to give you a brief overview how your report should look like, what is the difference in opinion, what are the important paragraphs, so that when we go to other relevant essays, you actually understand those standards. That is the only reason I'm discussing audit report right now. See, it's going to be a little tough for first 3-4 days. The reason being, we are not used to reading the report directly. I know that, but I believe that is the toughest thing to do. You start with this, everything else will look very easy. Because this is the end point. This is where you have to reach. So if I can understand the end point, I will understand the process also. It's all connected. You need to understand and trust me. Do you understand this? Spend 2 minutes, read what you've written. Read the contents. Are we good? Can you proceed? Let's finish the audit report. Let's go to the end part of the audit report. What is left after a report on other legal and regulatory requirements? Can you see? Firm name, firm's registration number, partner's name, partner's membership number. That's it. Place date. Write down. Firm's name. Do you know Deloitte Haskins and Sales? Have you heard of this name? Deloitte Haskins and Sales? Have you heard this? There are 4 big firms: PwC, EY, KPMG, and Deloitte. After these 4 comes your BDO, another firm. Then you have Grant Thornton, GT, and GT. That's the Grant and Thornton. Okay, that's another firm. And then comes your other mid-sized and small firms. That's there in every country. These 4 are present technically across the world. Deloitte specifically in US is very, very big. For example, what will be the revenue? Deloitte brand name revenue in US approximately on an yearly basis. Some $40 billion. Yeah. $40 billion I'm talking about. Yearly revenue for entire Deloitte. This includes the Deloitte Consulting. This includes Deloitte Auditing. This includes Deloitte Advisory Services. There are a lot of services. It's a huge, huge entity. So I'm talking about these firms are actually prestigious across the world. So you work in any of them post-qualification. That's one of the important parts of a CV. You go anywhere in the world, people will recognize you that you worked with one of the firms. Because these are the topmost, you can say, brand names which people prefer across the world. Deloitte is one of them. PwC is the other one. So you will say Satyam happened and all. It's okay. So you cannot really say who was responsible, who was not responsible. See, frauds will happen day in, day out in the world. That's part and parcel of the life. If you remember Enron scandal, have you heard this word, Enron scandal? In US, one of the most, horrifying scandals was Enron, ENRON, Enron scandal. Rather, you won't believe, there used to be big 5 once upon a time. Now we have big 4, it used to be big 5. There was a 5th firm. Firm's name was Arthur and Anderson. There's a firm called Arthur and Anderson. That firm was the auditor for Enron. And they were found guilty. And that fraud was so big, it was $1 billion fraud. I'm talking about 1990s. There was $1 billion fraud in 1990s. After that, Sarbanes-Oxley Act. There's a new law in US which came, SOX. That's why we have internal control chapter. That's why we have internal audit. That's why we have internal financial controls. That's why we have reporting on IFCs. It all came because of that Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which took place because of Enron scandal in 1990s. And the firm in charge was Arthur Anderson, and that firm was no more in existence after that fraud. Just imagine, from big 5, only 4 left after one scandal. Think about the amount involved in that scandal. It was $1 billion fraud in 1990s. Rather, that fraud changed the US economy. That fraud made them realize you have to work differently. You cannot have, very loose and lenient laws and regulations. That's why US became very stringent, very, very strong. And then eventually other countries also picked up looking at the regulations in that country, because everyone has to be associated when it comes to trade or business with the US. We all know that Donald Trump is traveling today to India. You know that, right? Mr. Trump is traveling to India today. Do you read newspapers? You should. You should. You should be aware of all the news flows around you, because that's the only thing which will guide your head. Like, it has to go in different directions. You need to know the global news, at least the Andhra Telangana news, if not the global news. You need to be aware of news flows. It's very, very important. That will actually allow you to think in a different way. Right now, doesn't matter. Come back to firm's name. Firm's name, firm's registration number, partner's name, firm's name, firm's registration number, partner's name, partner's membership number, partner's name, partner's membership number, date and place of signature. 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 Do you understand the old format? Can we move on to the revised format now? So you could have directly gone to revised format, I think. No. Now you will really understand when we go to revised format, how old and revised are different from each other, and the understanding will improve, trust me. Can we get started? Notebooks, give a next heading. We are under elements only. Under elements, number A was old format. Write down number B, the revised audit report format. The revised audit report format. This is going to be very interesting. The revised audit report format. The revised audit report format. Are you ready? Can we get started? So I'm going to show you a draft report, the actual report of Reliance SDFC. We'll see later on. Write down the draft one to give you a better understanding. Don't worry, we'll go to the actual report because now we have revised audit report available with us. The reason being, for the financial year 1st April 18 onwards. So financial year 1st April 18 to 31st March 19. For that year onwards, we started following revised audit report format. So right now the annual reports which came out for the last financial year includes the revised audit report as per SA 700. So we do have the actual examples of revised audit report. Like we discussed the old format with SpiceJet and TCS, I will show you the revised audit report format also. Let's go with the draft one right now. Once the draft understanding is there, we go to the actual report of a company. Should we get started? Okay, let's see. Can you see the heading is India? So title is same. Yes, only the alignment has changed. Useless. Write down. We have under revised audit report number A, title. We will not waste a lot of time. Just give title. And you all know what the title is. Title is Independent Auditor's Report. No need to write this once again. Do you understand our title? Let's go next. What is the next point? Can you see? To the members. Is it same only? It's like addressee, yes or no? Write down number B, addressee. After title, number B, addressee. Done? Now comes the challenge. Read the next point. What is the next point? Report on audit of. This heading was there in the old format also. This was there. But then the challenge is, in that time, when we had this kind of heading, there was something under the heading. Look at this. Independent auditor's report to the members. Can you see report on financial statement? Yes or no? But can you see there is some content under this? Like your opening paragraph or introductory paragraph. In the revised format, you will actually realize they've only given a statement. Sir, this is wrong. I don't care. Write down number C. You'll understand why. You'll understand why. Write down number C. Report on audit of financial statements. Report on audit of financial statements. In brackets mention only a statement. Only this statement will come. That is report on audit of financial statements. There is nothing under this. Remember, this is the only single statement. Do you understand this? Sir, what about that opening paragraph? Where did that go? Just give me 2 minutes. Wait. Can you see the next heading? Sir, we have opinion paragraph directly. In the old format, if you remember, we had an opening paragraph, then we had a scope paragraph. So there was no opinion paragraph directly. Yes or no? Is this good or bad? We don't care, sir. Is it good to have an opinion paragraph directly on the face? What do you think? No. Who says no? Someone said no. Who is that someone? Why no? Tell me one thing. When you become a chartered accountant, assume a situation. Normally, who reads the audit report? Either a chartered accountant or a financial advisor, or it can be a layman. What are we really interested in the audit report? The first thing you want to see is. That is the first thing I always want to see. No one is interested in the law. See? Were you interested? It doesn't look like. You don't remember 143. You don't remember 133, useless fellows. You have your exams due. You yourself are not interested. You expect a layman to be interested in the law and essays? Are you getting my point? Yes, the most important part of a report is opinion. And it should be there at the front. And I'll tell you why. Because my user really wants to know what is your bottom line. What is your final conclusion? Yes, I will read other matters. But that's later on. The main point is, are you giving a clean opinion or a modified opinion? That is my first important expectation. That is why I completely agree with them that directly opinion paragraph is appropriate. I'll tell you what. Do you know how do we design these essays? Anyone? Do you know how do these essays come from? Because we have ISAs. ISAs, International Standards on Auditing. There is something called as IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. I'll explain you one day the entire process, don't worry about this. Our ICAI is part of, our ICAI is a member of International Federation of Accountants. That International Federation of Accountants has a board called IAASB, International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. That IAASB gives ISAs. IAASB gives ISAs. Our ICAI has AASB. We just copy everything, just remove the I. That is Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. They come up with essays. We remove the I once again. Are you getting my point? They were called as AAS once upon a time. You don't even remember. When I was there in my PCC, we didn't use the word essays. We used the word AAS. That was the original standard series. Then they revised it to essays because ISAs came. So we thought it's easy to copy. This key audit matter paragraph, revised audit report format, this is all given under ISAs. So there is an international federation which comes up with these new standards. And I don't want to use the word copy paste. We are smart imitators. I don't know whether you understand this word. We copy it, but we copy it smartly. We know what to copy and what not to copy. Do you get my point? So we don't copy what you don't understand. Then we wait for some more time. Then we realize, shit, that was important to be copied. Then we come up with a new standard. That's how it works. Okay, come back. The point is, we have opinion paragraph directly. But I have a problem. Look at this opinion. This is so big. The normal opinion was small. Yes or no? There's some problem here. Let's read. What is under opinion paragraph? We have audited. Sir, it looks like, I'll tell you what happened. Formatting error. They should have included this here. And they should have included the opinion under opinion. Don't you agree with me? Because this is not opinion we have audited. This is your opening statement. Are you getting my point? See, but we cannot do. This is not my mistake. This is how the draft format looks like. And this is how the actual format looks like. So, sir, under opinion heading, they have two parts. The first is the opening statement. The same one. We have audited the financial statements of ABC Limited, which comprises balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement, notes to accounts, and statement of changes in equity. So this is my opening statement. And then comes my actual opinion. And the same opinion, can you see? In our opinion, to the best of our information, and can I say this is actually opinion paragraph only, but they've given opinion heading two parts. The first is the opening paragraph and the second is the actual opinion. So there is no change in opinion. There's just little restructuring. Little bit of restructuring, reshuffling. Do you understand this? There's nothing new as of now. It's the same report. They just removed the opinion from there, put it on the top. They just removed the opening paragraph content included under the opinion heading. Do one thing in your notebooks, write down next point. We are where? We are in the revised report or the old report? Revised. Under revised, we're done with the title, addressee, a statement that it's a report on audit of financial statement. Write down the next one. Point number D. Opinion heading. Opinion heading. Dash, write down. Under opinion heading, we should include two separate paragraphs. Under opinion heading, we should include two separate paragraphs we should include two separate paragraphs, wherein the first paragraph, we should include two separate paragraphs, wherein the first paragraph, includes introductory matter, includes the introductory matter in double quotes, write down introductory matter in double quotes, write down that we have audited the financial statements of ABC Limited. We have audited the financial statements of ABC Limited dash 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 dash. Like that's how the statement is. Just to remind you, this kind of statement will come. That's why I've given you a double quotes. We have audited the financial statements of dot 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 dot, double quotes close. Double quotes close. This is just for your reference that the first paragraph is your opening paragraph. Continue. And the second paragraph will include the actual auditor's opinion. The second paragraph will include the actual auditor's opinion. Is it clear to you? We are where? We are in the revised format. In the revised format, title done, addressee done, opening statement done, then we have an opinion heading. Under opinion, we also have two paragraphs. The first one is the actual opening paragraph, and the second one is the actual opinion. Is everything crystal clear to you as of now? Is there any doubt to anyone? Can we proceed? Let's go to the next heading. Look at the next heading. After this, eventually, can you see a heading called as? Wait. Look at the heading. Basis for? What heading did we have in the old format? Wait, go to the old format. This is very important. This is how MCQ should come. A perfect example for MCQ. Go to old format. What did we have? We had basis for? So, sir, are you trying to say this? In the old format, we used to include a basis paragraph only in case of a modified opinion. In the revised format, we include this basis heading even for a clean opinion. Or unmodified. Are you sure, sir? Yes. Look at this heading, basis for opinion. And what was the opinion? What was the kind of opinion we were giving? Is this a clean opinion only? Yes or no? Is this a clean opinion or not? Let me show you one example. Probably you'll understand and agree with me. The actual example of a report. This is Reliance, the independent auditor's report. To the members, can you see a statement? Can you see opinion paragraph? Can you see the introductory part? The actual opinion? Can you see heading? So have we given a clean opinion in this case? But still do we have a basis heading? Sir, it is clear. We will have this basis heading even in case of a clean opinion, which was not the case in the old format. In the old format, if you remember clearly, look at this, the old format. That's why I have so many reports. Do you understand why? You need to have these reports with you. Only then you really understand what is the difference. Like for example, old format, SpiceJet. Can you see clean opinion? There's no basis paragraph. Auditor's responsibility, management responsibility. Then you directly have emphasis on matter paragraph. There is no basis for opinion paragraph. Please remember, basis for opinion was not there in case of clean opinion. In which format? Old format. In the revised format, we will have basis paragraph even in case of clean opinion as well as for body. The problem is, what do we include there? You have a basis paragraph, I understand. Why do we have a basis paragraph number one? And what do you include in that paragraph? That is important. Yes or no? What do you think should we include in that basis for opinion paragraph? Tell me, what was under basis for modified opinion? What were we including under basis for modification? Useless fellows, I've given you the reasons for a modification. Yes or no? Here there is no modification. The reason for modification cannot come. I'm talking about a clean opinion. So what will you include under basis paragraph? That they have followed everything. Who followed everything? Auditor or the management? Management. Come here. That's the best part. This is very interesting. Can you see basis for opinion? And you will see we have followed everything. This is from the auditor's point of view. Listen to me carefully. Think about this. Think about this. I'm going to say something important. When you give a modified opinion, you give reason for modification. So when you give a clean opinion, I should also give reasons how did I arrive at clean opinion. When you gave a modified opinion, you told them this is the misstatement. That's why I modified. When I'm giving a clean opinion, I should also tell them how did I arrive at the clean opinion. That means I would have obtained all sufficient and appropriate audit evidences. I have a reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. And to do this, I should have complied with all applicable essays. I should have been an independent person. You know the word independent? Do you know ethical requirements? Do you remember ICAI's code of ethics? You know this ICAI has a code of ethics for all the members. Do you know what is code of ethics? What is code of ethics? Basically certain do's and don'ts which every member of a professional body should follow. So when I say code of ethics, that means these are the basic ethical requirements which every chartered accountant has to comply with when you are the member of ICAI. For example, integrity, objectivity, independence. Have you heard these words? That's how these things get connected. So I'm trying to say, in basis for opinion paragraph, I'm going to write down as auditor, I have complied with all applicable essays. Sir, you mentioned essays, auditor needs to comply because of section 143 subsection 10. Do you remember that? You will see a reference here, don't worry. Right now, I have complied with all applicable essays, and that is why I have belief that I have obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidences, and I have not come across any material misstatement. I have been an independent person. I have complied with all ethical requirements, and after all this, I conclude that I want to give a clean opinion so that my users need to understand how did I come to clean opinion also. It is a very, very logical paragraph. They have mentioned that how did you arrive at your opinion. Let's see what is written. We conducted our audit. We means auditor. In accordance with standards on auditing. Can I say this is a duty specified under 143 subsection 10? Do you agree with me now? That's why understanding of these sections, these essays is very important. Otherwise, you will never be able to understand the report. Never. Don't worry, this is just a preliminary stage. Start building on this. When we're done with company audit, when we're done with all standards, when we come back here, you should be in a position to read every statement. You should be in a position to understand every statement. That is the most important part. I'm telling you, it's very, very important. You might disagree with me, but this is important. Because I'll tell you what, if I talk about smart MCQ questions, that's the kind of question I'll frame. I'll tell you what I can ask you for 4 marks if I want to trouble you. Draft a basis for opinion paragraph. Draft a basis for opinion paragraph. Now, how will you draft it if you don't even know what comes under this? If you know what comes under this, drafting becomes simple. And don't think ICAI has not asked these questions. They've asked every kind of questions. You go to last 10 years, look at the kind of questions, and I'll tell you what, teacher will discuss these questions after the paper has come. So once they ask this, in the next class I teach, I will discuss. See, ICAI can ask this. I'm trying to be a little proactive. That's my problem. That's why I'll discuss too much. Because I believe I need to discuss some certain aspects which have not been asked, but which can be asked. Like one MCQ will be asked on basis for opinion. One fine day it will come. The reason being, someone has to read the old format and revised format together to understand that there is a new paragraph. Otherwise, they won't even understand that there is a new paragraph. Are you getting my point? It's very, very important. That's why these small, tiny differences, they actually becomes a question. And ICAI has done this. And I expect them that at a final level to ask these questions. Because at a final level, it is expected that you have a very, very good understanding of at least standards on auditing. Do you get my point? Can we go ahead? So, sir, what comes under basis for opinion paragraph? It includes, sir, that we have conducted our audit in accordance with all applicable essays. This is one part. So, do one thing. Notebooks, give a heading. Notebooks, give a heading. Is opinion paragraph done? Write down basis for opinion paragraph. Basis for opinion paragraph. Under basis for opinion paragraph, write down number A. Under this heading, write down number A. In the revised audit report format, under this number A, in the revised audit report format, basis for opinion heading, in the revised audit report format, basis for opinion heading will be included in the audit report, will be included in the audit report, irrespective, will be included in the audit report, irrespective of a modified opinion, irrespective of a modified opinion, or an unmodified opinion, or an unmodified opinion. So this paragraph will be included in every revised audit report. It doesn't matter whether you give a clean opinion or whether you give a modified opinion. Is this point number A clear to you? See, every point what I'm giving you can become a separate question. That is why you need to be very careful. If point number A is done, write down point number B. Write down point number B. Basis for opinion heading, basis for opinion heading will generally include, basis for opinion heading will generally include a statement that auditor has conducted his audit, as per all applicable essays, conducted his audit as per all applicable essays as required by, all applicable essays as required by 143 subsection 10, as required by 143 subsection 10, brackets close, and he has fulfilled all ethical requirements. He has fulfilled all ethical requirements, including independence. He has fulfilled all ethical requirements, including independence. All ethical requirements, including independence, as required by code of ethics, as required by code of ethics issued by ICAI. Code of ethics issued by ICAI. Full stop. Last, continue. In this only, continue. He has also obtained, continue. He has also obtained sufficient and appropriate. He has also obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidences. He has also obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidences to provide a basis for his opinion. To provide a basis for his opinion. To provide a basis for his opinion. Read this carefully. What you have written. Read point number B. Point number A is clear to everyone, I'm sure. Read point number B. Done. Can I say, sir, this basis for opinion will come under all audit reports. It will always include certain statements that we have conducted our audit in accordance with all applicable essays. We have obtained all sufficient and appropriate audit evidences, and we have been independent. And we have always complied with all the ethical requirements which is given by Code of Ethics, which is issued by ICAI. It includes my integrity, objectivity, independence, professional behavior. I've kept all these things in mind. And after keeping that in mind, I have come to the final opinion so that I can base my opinion and you can rely on this opinion. That is why this basis heading has been included. Sir, it looks like in the revised audit report, you are putting auditor more responsibility. You are asking him to write down what he has done. You are asking him to accept that he has responsibility for these things. That is why when we go to auditor's responsibilities paragraph, it's in almost one and a half page. Like our old audit report used to be 1.5 page. Our auditor's responsibility is 1.5 page nowadays. Our key audit matters can be 4 pages. So our audit report nowadays can be 7-8 pages, which used to be 1.5 pages once upon a time. And some people with small formatting can have 1 page also. Are you getting my point? The relevance has increased because we want people to know what we do. I'll tell you what. 2 years back, 5 years back, even today, for example, people don't know, who doesn't know the revised audit report format. You ask them, what is there in the audit report? There is something in the audit report which you don't understand. What has he done? He has an audit. What has he given? Opinion. That's such an open-ended word. What have I checked? You don't know. What did what all important matters I came across? You don't know. What risk I identified? You don't know. What is there in this business? You don't know. So what do you know from the report? It's just a report. And that is why there were so many question marks. That's why we have NAFRA. These people started questioning the reliability. Someone had to give an answer. That is why we had to revise the format. It is absolutely right. This will actually give more communicative value to our report. This includes more and better transparency between the auditor and the users. It's a very, very logical steps. People hate it that they have to remember so much now. People hate it now. I'll tell you why. Because now they've written that this is what they've done. So think about someone who only signs. That person cannot sign now. Earlier, these things were there. Everything was there. But this was assumed implicitly. Not really mentioned. Do you get my point? Now this is explicitly mentioned. To at least look at that page and think 2 times. Have you done this? If no, please don't sign. Are you getting my point? This is why the revised audit report actually makes sense. Doesn't matter. Do you understand basis for opinion heading? Sir, I have a problem. Now what is your problem? When we have a modified opinion, in the revised audit report, once again, modified opinion in the revised audit report, will we include a heading called as basis for modified opinion paragraph? How will that look like? See, clean opinion, I understand. Only this will come. This is a clean opinion. See, is a clean opinion? Only this will come. My problem is, how will this basis heading look like when you give a modified opinion? Sir, you have to give more examples. One more example. Can you say 705? Let me show you one example. Again, a draft audit report format for your understanding. Okay. Independent auditors report. Members of ABC. Can you see a statement only? It looks like a revised audit report. Can you see the opinion heading directly? But which opinion have they given? Sir, under opinion, we still have this introductory paragraph and the actual opinion. Yes or no? Come down. Can you see the next heading? Now this basis heading also has 2 paragraphs. Sir, option. I don't want to listen to this now. This is too much. The last hurdle. This is the last hurdle. If you understand this, you're sorted. Almost. Basis for qualified opinion. Now it also has 2 paragraphs. Can you see the second paragraph first? Sir, the same copy paste. Arey, hi Anna. Yes or no? What do you have this one? What is this? This is your actual reason for modification. So, when you have a modified opinion under revised audit report, the basis heading will include 2 paragraphs. The first one will include actual reasons for modification, and the second will include the general content, what you just mentioned under point number A. Sorry, under point number B. Yes or no? Yes or no? Under point number C. Don't worry, I'll give you in everything in extreme detail. You write everything. Because when you go home and you read this once again, you should be able to understand what all I talked. Do you get my point? Otherwise, I talk and my speed is, you know what I mean, right? First 2-3 days, you will be in trouble. But after 3 days, everyone else will be slow. You will understand this only. See, if I talk very slow in theory, I will also sleep. This is the bare minimum. And trust me, after a lot of meditation, this has become slow. It used to be really fast once upon a time. Like really fast. Okay? Write down next one. Point number C. In case of, under C, in case of modified opinion, in case of modified opinion under revised audit report format, modified opinion under revised audit report format, we should include 2 separate paragraphs. We should include 2 separate paragraphs. 2 separate paragraphs wherein the first paragraph includes the reasons for modification. The first paragraph includes the reasons for modification. And the second paragraph will include the general statements as mentioned under point number B above. General statements as mentioned under point number B above. Go do one thing. Go to point number B and read what you've written. Will you include that same statement as a separate paragraph? And there will be one more paragraph as a reason for modification. They both will come under one single heading, that is basis for modified opinion. We are under which format? The old format or the revised format? The revised format. Are we good? Read this carefully. As of now, whatever we have discussed, are you comfortable? Spend 2 minutes, read once again the contents of revised audit report. The audit report is not over, but as of now, whatever we have discussed, are you comfortable? Check this out once again. Read this quickly. Tell me honestly, basis for opinion, how it is different in old format, revised format, clear to you? Opinion heading, where do we include in the old and revised, clear to you? Like the minute differences, if you understand them, trust me, let them ask any question, you will be comfortable. If they ask you, what do you include under basis for opinion heading? You already have an answer, point number B. We conducted our audit in accordance with all applicable essays as required by 143 subsection 10. We have complied with all ethical requirements including independence as required by Code of Ethics issued by ICAI. We have obtained all sufficient and appropriate audit evidences to provide a basis for our opinion. You go to any audit report, read the bare report, this will all match. And if you actually streamlining them, start summarizing them, you will be in a very, very comfortable position. It will not trouble you ever, according to me. Do you understand this? Are we good? Okay. Thank you.